Take a look. So this courtyard, this is a private courtyard. We call this private courtyard the Courtyard of the Jews. I don't know if you know, but the French government during the Second World War for the only government who was working with the Nazi. And they make a roundup in 42, July 16, July 17, they make a roundup to try to cap all the Jews in Paris. So this is, I'm not talking about the Nazi, I'm talking about the French police. The French police, okay? So they came here on the morning to catch 1,000 people, grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, even the kids. The Germans, the Nazi didn't ask for the kids. And at that time, the Vichy government, this is a really bad, a really dark page of our history, answered to the Nazi, what are we supposed to do with the kids? Because we send the parents to the train with one-way tickets. So the French said, well, we don't have to pay attention with the kids, take also the kids. So this is absolutely incredible, okay? Yeah. And this is something strange because the France was the only country who was dealing and working with the Nazi. And in the second hand, we have also many policemen. They was absolutely disagree with this roundup. So they went the night before knocking on the Jewish family and said, no, don't be there tomorrow, escape, get out of here. We have a roundup tomorrow. So the French police was supposed to catch 40,000 Jewish in Paris in one day. And they took only 11,500 because most of them escaped. Okay, so that's a really bad history of France. So we don't say that was the French government, that was the government of Vichy. It was the only one government in Europe was dealing with the Nazi. Okay, so this is the courtyard of the Jews, and they used that courtyard to make movies during the Second World War. Okay, so this is just to remember of. Sometimes as soldiers, as militaries, you know, sometimes the young people say, what we did in Europe, why we came in Europe, that was a European war, this is not American war, okay? But when you understand all of this, you understand right away, this is not a question of Jewish or not Jewish, just a question of humanity.
Absolutely.
Family. So you understand that, thank you guys, you know, to come. Next generation, 80 years, 85 years later, you know, you understand why you came here, to make the France, to restore the liberty of France, you know, and we cannot say thank you to the American troops, you know, when you are in Normandy to see the American cemetery and you see all these thousands of stones, you know, so you understand right away why you came here, you know. So that was the courtyard of the Jews, and you have many places in Paris that the Jews was wrapped, you know, by this roundup. And it's instead of Le Marais, if you go to Le Marais, you can see some Russian places. Say, well, the name, most of them was Polish, you know, with the heads of the young kids. And they write even today with the active complicity of the French government.
Wow.
So you will try to remember, because when you do not remember your history, you gotta repeat it again. Instead, today with the Ukraine, most of the Americans don't understand why you spend, guys, so much money. Why do we spend also so much money in Europe? Because you can say when you live in California, so Ukraine far away. I'm not involved by this. We are involved by this because this is a question of humanity. Okay? Just a quick, stop. This is not about the food, but this is about the history.
It's wonderful.
And I think this is just very important to remember that, you know. And the young people, instead in the U.S., make the confusion between what happened in Israel and Gaza. This is part of the actual history, and what happened to the Jewish people in Europe. Okay, and most of them, the Jewish people, because the France was also an anti-Semitism country by the Catholic side. Okay, so most of the Jewish people was living in Russia, the west part. We call this part Yiddish land, and Yiddish land beginning on Ukraine, Moldavia, the part of Romania, up to Belarus, what you say on there, and all the Baltic, this is all this part, okay? And the Russia was killing Jews by thousands, so they came east, they arrived in Germany. What a bad pig.
Yeah.
What a bad pig. So they came back in France because that was the country of the human rights. So they thought that in France, nothing can happen to you. And finally, the Nazi came in France, and finally the governments worked with the Nazi. What a bad pig. So that's why I don't say anymore about France that we are the country of the human rights. I used to say that we are the country of the Declaration of the Human Rights. So that makes for me a little difference about, you know, to be very proud of human rights. And when you see your own history, so well, who was not so cool, you know, with every part of the French history. Okay? I hope I don't bother you.
Oh,
But I think it's important about the
so
history of
interesting.
humanity.
Thank you. That's
This is a question
great.
of humanity. And like I used to say that stop to say the Jews are not Jews, just say French. That's it. That's going to be okay. You know, because most of them, even here, they are born Jews, but they are not raised that. They are just French. That's it, and that's all. As simple as that.
Yeah. Were there a lot of people? So I know there was obviously a resistance
Yeah.
during that time.
Yeah.
So in particular that night,
Yeah.
were there French people who took people in? And where did they go? Do you know any of that? I can't remember.
Yes, sometimes the Jewish family send all these little kids in the south part of France.
Okay.
And we have many simple French families. They took those kids, those Jewish kids,
Sure.
and they teach them the Catholic catechism. And they say, well, we are Jews. You shut up. You learn that Catholic. So finally, when the Nazi came in the church, in school, to control if everybody was Catholic, this young Jewish was able to say the Catholic catechism, and they say, okay, they are Catholic, so they saved their lives. So, in the same time, this is something very strange. So, first of all, we was the only government that was working with the Nazi, and we keep alive 75% of the Jews. If you see a Nazi map of Europe, you see Poland, Judenfrei. Lithuania, Estonia, Judenfrei. Belarusi, Judenfrei. Judenfrei means free of Jews. Means they kill 100% of them. It's just insane. In France, we lost only 25%. So that government sent 75,000 Jewish, only 3,000 came back. Even kids. You will see in Le Marais, if you go to the place of 260 kids, you see a list with 3, 4, 5 columns of all these kids. 2 years, 6 months, 4 years. It's just, even today, it's sick, it's insane, incredible. There's no road. Absolutely no road. So this is a part of also, when we talk about a country, we talk about food, chocolate, and wines. That's cool. But we have also to remember that this is also an history, a culture, you know. We cannot talk only about champagne and shit, you know. So I have to make a little stop about that, because this is, even today, after what happened October 7 in Israel, still a big problem. And I know that this is what happened in the war and what happened today in Israel. This is two different problems, you know, that we have to, you know, to make any conclusion about it. Okay, guys?
Thank you for sharing that.
No, I think it's important. I hope I don't bother you, because I know that in many countries, some people are more easy to talk about this and are more uncomfortable to talk about that. But I feel this is something, you know.
It's part of history.
It is part of history. Yeah, it's not the entire history. It's a little part of history, you know. But this is the main part. Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys.